Welcome back to another YouTube video. We have just arrived to the hotel. We are here in Madrid. Tomorrow we catch a flight. And before we came here, as we were making our way from the exit to the Uber, there was a kid around 22 years old. He was well polished, chest up. And I can see that this guy had a vision. He had a dream. And the reason I could see that is because I saw myself in this kid. And I can easily differentiate someone who has a dream and someone who hasn't. And the sad thing is that people that don't have dreams, these people are just surviving, they're not existing. And it's crazy because I nearly got to that point where I nearly gave up on my dreams. Dreams are the thing that makes me feel so alive, no matter how many times I fall. And I've said this ever since because I've gone through so many downs, but every time I get down, I will always get back up because that vision is the thing that keeps me alive. That vision is the thing that gives me hope, and you can see it because every day that you wake up, you have a new challenge, you have a new opportunity to go again. The moment you have no dreams, you wake up to nothing, to repeat the same cycle, to go to that same job that you hate, and then at that point, you are not living, you are just surviving. And I want to give you a very personal experience. Growing up in my dad's Chinese takeaway, that led me to being a very insecure kid, and it led me to always being in the background and just being that people pleaser because I didn't want any attention on me, because I didn't want anyone to find out who I really was, because it made me feel very insecure. Now, the thing is, as you grow up, you stay with the same mentality that you did have when you left secondary school. Now, this is going to tie in with the illustration of the kid that I was telling you about, the one that I saw on the exit. Now, we all have these visions, but sometimes your background, sometimes your past, sometimes who you are is the thing that holds you back from ever achieving it. And I say this because I've come from an ethnic background. Now, my dad's Chinese and my mother's Colombian. And a brief history is that I grew up in my dad's Chinese takeaway because they got to a point where financially my dad had to decide to rent out the house because we had to live underneath the Chinese takeaway. Now, I was okay with this until I got into secondary school. And when I went into secondary school, especially in South London, I realized how judgmental everyone was. And being a very shy kid, especially being very like Asian and timid, like it would really break me and I would really take it personally. Now, as you go into your adult years, you still hold this character. And when you want to go for your dreams and go for these big ambitious goals that you have, you never see it as possible because the people around you have never achieved it. And the saddest thing is sometimes the ones closest to you are the things that you anchor to, which doesn't allow you to achieve it. Let me get into that. Now, we all look up to our parents. Growing up, your parents are your superheroes. And now it gets to a point where you think, if they didn't manage to achieve their goals, how can I achieve my goals? I'm just a scared kid in this big world. And like, I used to hide behind my parents and I always thought like I wasn't enough and I couldn't do anything without them. Now, I want you to understand something very important. We have all played different roles and we are living in different times. Now, you need to understand that everyone's race is completely different. My family changed the generational line forever. They might not have been able to buy all the cars. They might not have been able to buy all the fancy houses, but they have given us the opportunity to dream. Their battles have been completely different to the ones that we are facing now. They left a whole different country. They had to learn a new language and they had to seek the information that we don't have, that we have. They don't have the information that we have access to back then like we do today. They didn't have ChatGPT. They didn't have Google. And it's crazy that I say this because the truth is, I've always been a person where I've really held myself to myself because I've always felt like I had to be worthy enough to build a relationship with people. And it's something that I had deep rooted because I've always felt like I was never enough, especially I feel like it stemmed from my childhood where I just wanted to fit in. Now, the reason this ties into what I'm going to say about my dad, I've never really had the best relationship with my parents. And I love them very much and they've given me everything and they've made sure that I've always had food on my plate, I've had a roof over my head, and they've always given me everything that I've needed. Now, I've never really had much of a conversation with my dad. And there was one time I had a conversation with him and it made me realize a lot of things. I had a conversation with my dad and I asked my dad, so why did you want to come to London? What was the whole game plan? And my dad came to London from Malaysia at the age of 15 to study medicine. Now, coming from Malaysia to London, now he had to look for a job to also sustain for himself because he's got family back home and he didn't want to put that burden on them. Now, especially being a kid where you want to make your parents proud. Now, I put myself in his shoes and we forget that we are also the age that our parents once were. So they understand us. Now we are in a situation where we can understand them. Now, he told me something that really made it click. He couldn't continue paying for his tuition for university because he had to use that money to pay for information. He had to pay for lawyers to manage to get his residency in the UK. So all of his money went towards information. Then I realized we live in an information era. We have access to all the information in the world with a click of our fingertips. Information isn't the issue. This is the thing. This is why sometimes we look to our parents, look to everyone around us, and we think, well, if they couldn't achieve it, how can I achieve it? They've achieved much different things, and it's all about percentages. They gave 100% to leave everything behind at the age of 15. They had to come all the way to a new country to give everything, and they took it this far. Now it's for you to take it off from where you are now and continue going and give your 100%. This is the thing. You don't have an information issue. You have an application issue. Now, this is where you understand. Now, with the resources that I have, that they allowed me to have, now I can continue pushing further. And that's when I realized that I need to make the most of what I have. Now, at that point, I stopped beating myself up for thinking, well, if my parents couldn't do it, I can't do it. I realized I'm in a whole different game. I have the internet. And I realized I have to go towards everything that I want, and that makes me feel so alive. And I used the very thing that once broke me to make me. I looked at all the mistakes. I looked at the life that I didn't want to live. I had the perfect blueprint, and I said, I'm going to go towards everything that I have. That old identity, which I said who I was condemned to be, an insecure kid, someone who was full of self-doubt. That was the thing that was stopping me from my goals, because I couldn't speak on camera. I couldn't be comfortable around other people. I was so scared of criticism. Then I realized the only way I can overcome that is by putting myself in those situations. I wanted to grow a following. I wanted to become an online coach. The things I've always wanted, but I was too scared to go for it because I was scared of what people would think. Then I realized, wait, if I don't have a dream, I have nothing. And if I don't chase this dream because of the opinions of others, that means I'm living for them and not for myself. And that makes me unhappy. So what is the point of living? Then I realized I have nothing to lose. In 2020, I left everything that I had back home in London. Finally got the job, family, friends, everything. I moved to Spain. I was so lost that I ended up buying a dog, that I just thought it was the end of the world. And I was cruising by, just living my best life and indulging myself in vices that led to no good. And I don't say this to sound like a sob story, and the reality is that no one cares about your story unless you give them a reason to. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I want you, and I know there's someone out there that's going to identify with the story, and I want you to know that it's not too late. At the age of 25, I hit a midlife crisis. At the age of 25, I realized that I can't continue living my life like this. Something has to change. And at that point, I realized, wait, I'm buying clothes, I'm investing my money on stupid shit, and it's not giving me any benefit. I don't want to live like this for the rest of my life. That's when I realized the law of exposure. What is the law of exposure? Once unseen, it can't be unseen. I saw a friend of mine, he started going for his goals, and he started to make progression. I was like, we started in the same place. That's when, for me, I've realized I'm a quick learner. If someone can do it, I just need someone to show me that it's possible, and then I know I can do it. That's when I stopped comparing myself and realizing that, wait, they've got it, let me feel jealousy. No, they got it, I can do it too. What did they do? That's when I realized it is the who, not the how. Because if you're not the who, you can never complete the how. The who is the person who's consistent, disciplined. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to get to. Discipline is the thing that you need to get to that desire. Most of you guys are disciplined. You just have a reason. That's the thing. You're lacking that reason for that desire. You need a stronger desire than just money. Most of you guys go to work. Why? Because your reason is that you don't want to live on the streets. You want a roof over your head. You want to pay for your basic bills. That is your reason. It's not money. Because the thing is, whether you're tired, whether you're sad, whether you're upset, whether you're sick, you still go to work. You are disciplined. You're not disciplined with your goals because you don't want it bad enough. You need to give a reason behind it. Now, that's why I say it's a who. When I hit rock bottom, I realized I was working with my auntie at her restaurant, and that's when I have it all documented. At that point, I said, what do I have to lose? Let me start investing in myself. If you believe in yourself, invest in yourself. Most of you guys say you believe in yourself, but you don't invest in yourself. When it's time to put money on the table, you're scared to. Now, the thing that makes you feel better is, let me buy clothes, but you're still the same person. If you want the results of 100,000 followers, if you want the results of a successful person, you have to become the person who's a successful person. You have to become the person that can create the 100,000 followers. That's one thing that took me a long time to realize. So watch this video until you finally understand it. So what did I do? I reached out to my friend who became my first ever mentor. The first time I ever spent money on a mentor, 600 euros. I used to think I'd rather spend 600 euros on AirPods. I'd rather spend 600 euros on a new iPhone, because in my head, I think that iPhone, it lasts forever. But guess what also lasts forever while you're alive? You will last the rest of your life. So why are you not improving you? You improve your clothes, you improve your environment. So why would you not improve the thing that creates all of that? Why would you not improve everything? You are the person that can change everything. You're always trying to help people with the bare minimum that you have. Fill your cup first so you can overflow everyone else's. At that point, I realized the importance of being close and having proximity to the people that have the things that you want. That's when I invested in my second mentor. $3,000 for 1 month of coaching. And that 1 month of coaching changed my life, because it made me aware that what I want is possible. That's why I'm living the life that I'm living today. My thought process was, what's the worst that can happen? 2 months worth of work, all right, at least it doesn't work. Worst case scenario, I got scammed. 2 months worth of work, I get my money back. Best case scenario, I learn everything that I have from the person that has the results that I want, and I become the person that I wanted to always be. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. My second mentor, he showed me how to create my personal brand. He showed me how to build relationships. He showed me how to execute. He showed me how to apply the things that I know, because most of you guys don't have an information issue. Most of you have an application issue. Why? Because you hide behind the excuses and this identity that you create for yourself. Your identity can be changed the moment you decide to. Your life is not condemned. Your life is full of choices. We have so many different realities that we can choose to live in. Every single one of them, the moment we decide to live in that timeline. What do I mean by that? Today, I'm a person, an online coach. I'm a very successful person on the online space, where I make over 30,000 followers every single month, have over 50 million views every single month. Why? Because I decide to post videos every day. Why? Because I decide to self-develop every single day. Why? Because I decide to go to the gym every day. Why? Because I choose to not miss. We do not miss is a mentality that translates into everything else. I don't feel like going to the gym every single day, but I go to the gym every single day because that translates into other things. I have to choose a suffering that is, I suffer on purpose. Why? Because when this unforeseen suffering comes, I can now relate the two feelings which are the same in a different situation. I've overcome one, then I can overcome the other. Now going to the gym and suffering at the gym, that isn't suffering to me. But you know what is suffering? When I need to have that uncomfortable conversation. When I need to post that video which makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. When I have to say that uncomfortable truth which I don't want to say. That is suffering to me. But because I've conditioned myself so much to do it, then I replicate into the real world. And that's when I see real life results. You need to understand that we are all playing this game of life. Stop pretending that you're not, because all you're going to do is later on in life, you're going to regret not doing it. I used to be scared of, I don't want to act different. This is cringe. This is not myself. Of course, it's not yourself. Look where yourself has taken you to become someone that you're not proud of. Start making changes and become someone you're proud of. Drop that ego. The reason you're not changing is because you have this ego which you think you know everything, where you want to be unique and be yourself. But everyone fits into a category. Being yourself means being the best version of yourself. At the moment, we're all like a game where you're this default character which has no clothes, and you go playing this game, leveling up, getting XP, and improving yourself. This is with everything. But as a default character, we all have some pros, some cons. Now, there's no point of you trying to change the things that you can't. Accept the things which you can't change, and don't accept things that you can change. I was timid. I was scared. I didn't know how to speak. I was afraid of camera. Now I've practiced so much that now it looks like I've got this God-given talent to speak in front of camera, and I can hold a conversation for the last 20 minutes. I don't know how long this has been rolling for. Why? Because of practice. Now, this is what luck is. It's preparation meeting opportunity. Last year, I was invited by the Chinese government to win an award to go all the way to China. I did not know this was happening. And at that moment, I realized my life would have been so much different if I didn't decide to take that first step 4 years ago. When I was posting content, no one was clapping for me. When I was improving myself, no one was clapping for me. When I was becoming my best version, and till this day, I'm in pursuit of it. When I felt like I was going crazy, in reality, I was questioning all my limiting beliefs. No one was clapping for me. I never thought I would get to the point where I would inspire a community of over 600,000 people. All I ever thought about was, how can I get through today? Now, guess what? Now my past experiences is what inspires others. That was never the goal. The goal was just to be better, and as a byproduct, this is what happens. I realized when I was in China, after receiving my award, I remember I was walking by the lake when I saw all of these lights. I was walking around in Hunan, China, and I thought, it's crazy how one decision can change your life. One moment can change your life. In moment of anger, what do people do? They make the wrong choices and it changes their life. In one moment of where you feel like this is cringe, but you do it anyway, it can change your life. And that's what's happened for me. That's why I would always thank my younger self for being that valiant person who decided to put one foot in front of the other. And I do this till this day. The race never ends. There is always somewhere to improve. And I choose to live my life like this because that's what gives me purpose. Everyone is so frustrated. They don't know what their purpose is. You are your purpose. That's why your goal is to always be better. And guess what that includes? Everything else which you also desire. It's like this room. If I had this room and had broken windows, a broken roof, I'm not going to get overwhelmed because I can't fix everything in one go. This is my room, right? So let me start off with what I can fix. I can fix a window. I can fix my communication skills. Oh, I'm slightly nervous, slightly shy. Well, I'm not shy. I'm afraid of what people think. Well, guess what? If I put myself more in that situation, I'll get desensitized to it. This is exactly what it is. And that's what keeping the dream alive is. Guess what the dream is? Being your best self. Being your best version, knowing you have so much more than what you think you have. And that's why I get frustrated. And that's why now I speak with the truth. Because I don't see you for who you are. I see for who you can be. And stop trying to negate yourself from it and hide it behind excuses. Excuses are just weaknesses. Everyone's race is different. For some, it's going to be harder than others. Yes, that's true. But how does that benefit you in your race of life? My parents, they didn't have the internet. They could blame everyone and think about, oh, they've got the internet. Look at where they are living today. But they've done 100%. They migrated from a whole different country. They grinded. And guess what? That's all that matters. The question is, are you giving 100%? Are you being honest with yourself? Or are you deciding to hold excuses? That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Stop holding yourself back. Hold that vision alive. And I tell you this from the bottom of my heart because that's the thing that keeps me alive. I don't care how many times I fall. I will fall 101 times and I will get up 102. That is the meaning of life, to keep on going and learning. You don't ever lose. You win or you learn. The only time that you lose is if you decide to accept it. Why would you accept something that you do not like? You are already suffering. Get something at the end of it. This is one thing I want you to realize. Go for everything that you have. And discipline is a bridge between where you are and where you're going to get to. Become the person that creates all the results that you want. The life that I live, this isn't by default. This is by design. You design and control everything else. Now start controlling your life with the decisions that you make. This is what I want to share with you guys. Love you guys. Comment down what is your biggest reflection. I hope this video was of value. If it was, please share it. Take a snapshot of this page and share it on your Instagram and tag me so I can repost it and I can personally thank you. And if you haven't already and you want to ask me any questions, be part of a lifetime access community of like-minded individuals which are going towards the same journey, and you want to join the Mindset Mastery Room for $97 a month where you can ask me any questions, join it there. Or if you want to work one-to-one with me, comment the word brand or DM me on Instagram the word ready. If you don't already know, this is Soonwa. Love you guys. Let's go.